So let's just dive right into it. I'm excited to do this with you because I focus a lot on women's health, but this is like a different angle because we're talking about kids and family. Obviously, that's a big component for a lot of women, right? Taking care of our family and our children, especially. I still remember the sleep stuff really well, right? And how it impacts us as parents, especially moms.
Absolutely.
And then I still have patients where I'm like, why are your sugars a little high? And sure enough, right, I figure out they're not sleeping well due to their little ones.
And it's interesting, not just little ones, even the big ones also affect.
It's the big ones also.
Yeah, either sometimes I see a lot of kids, especially now with this mental health crisis, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds who are very anxious at bedtime. And so they need a parent to be with them, or they're requesting to sleep in their parents' bed because they're so anxious. So it's a real issue.
It is a real issue. So yeah, when I say little ones, that could be go. And even when they leave the house, I think parents still stay up at night worrying about them.
Exactly.
Some of the stuff is very obvious, but we need someone like you to tell us sleep is so crucial for both kids and adults, and how inadequate sleep basically can interfere with not only our overall health, but our productivity and our mental health and everything.
Yeah, I know that's a great place to start. Sleep is not just something we're doing as a cure for sleepiness. Okay, we're sleepy and so we sleep. It does cure sleepiness, but it does so much more. Like you said, from our brain health perspective and all the sort of waste products that build up on the surface of our brains over the course of the day, we actually need sleep to get rid of those. And so if you think about sleep, if you think about it like a sink that's clogged up, you've got to open up and flush things out. And so that flushing action is taking place during sleep. If you don't sleep, you don't get that opportunity. And over time, those deposits, one of them is called amyloid beta, has been associated with increased risk of dementia. And so we don't want that, right? We don't want memory loss to occur. We don't want to constantly feel like we're living in a fog. So sleep is so beneficial for that. And then also our emotion regulation, the ability to not fly off the handle constantly, especially when it comes to children. We might see kids who are very irritable, very impulsive. They have a hard time following directions. They have a hard time self-regulation. And sometimes they just might be tired because they're not sleeping enough. And then increased anxiety and depression is also something that we see when you don't get enough sleep, because sleep helps with our emotion regulation. And then you also can have even just our general health, our heart health, blood pressure, insulin control and management. Even in kids, we're seeing some of that research panning out that if they have poor sleep, they might have increased risk of some of these metabolic conditions, a higher risk of obesity and difficulties with weight. Growth hormone is produced during sleep. So if kids and adults are not getting enough sleep, then they don't get those benefits that growth hormone helps with, which is, of course, growing, linear growth, but also things like muscle and tissue repair and all of those things. So sleep really is so important. It's so critical for just our overall health and well-being of our kids as well as adults.
I've been thinking about sleep a lot. And I'll be honest with you, when COVID hit, I feel, first of all, the world went crazy, right? And in the world of medicine, we, especially liners, right? Especially primary care physicians, emergency room doctors, pulmonologists, infectious disease specialists, we were all on the front line dealing with COVID. And a lot of stress and anxiety hit. And I found myself doing things like I used to do when I was back in residency, like the stress hit and I wasn't sleeping. Not only was I willfully not going to bed on time, like I was staying up late, just doing things because my whole rhythm was off. And it took me some time to realize that I was doing a lot of not so great things to my body. And as a physician, I already knew the impact that you just mentioned on our glucose and stress levels, all of it. But I was still doing it. And I've been focusing more on those healthy, what we call the sleep hygiene, right? Going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, making sure that the room is comfortable, all sorts of stuff. And I feel a whole lot better, right? In terms of my moods, in terms of weight management, a whole hit list of things.
Hey everyone, big shout out to Ariel Vivleka, founder of Finally All Natural. Ariel is on a mission to educate people about hidden ingredients in skincare products. Did you know the FDA allows incidental ingredients that aren't labeled or disclosed? That's why Finally All Natural is special. They focus on how ingredients are created, excluding extracts and essential oils, and have world-first formulas that work for a variety of skin types. They've also partnered with CleanHub for eco-friendly packaging and offer an exclusive organic face oil that has been scientifically proven to boost the proteins in your skin, enhancing hydration and strengthening the skin barrier. All 100% vegan. If you're into holistic skincare or non-toxic living, Ariel is your go-to expert. Keep up the amazing work, Ariel. Get in touch with her today. All the links are in description below.
When you think about it, sleep, right? It is such a natural thing, and we're so vulnerable, right? We're so vulnerable. Yes, we live in our houses and we're protected, but when you think about it, we haven't evolved as much from when we were cavemen, right? And so that mechanism of sleeping is still preserved. So it's obviously essential physiologically for us to maintain it. So when you deal with adults and children who are not sleeping well, how do you emphasize the importance of sleep with your patients?
So I think there are different ways to look at this. I think the mindset piece is so important because when people don't understand the importance, it's not intentional. It doesn't become a priority. And so we start off to, of course, talk about all these things that could happen. But if you think about a teenager who doesn't care about Alzheimer's, right? They feel they're going to live forever, so they don't have any clue what I'm talking about. I have to then get very creative in relating it with something that I know is meaningful for them. So me telling a teenager, oh, you'll lose weight, compared to, oh, remember those skinny jeans you wanted to fit in? Or to say, I know you love video games. Did you know that the accuracy and the response to those video games, to you really being the top of your team or whatever, if you're playing a virtual game with others, it literally sleep helps you get there. Or like you can earn more 3-point throws if you sleep well. So that way, it's really around something that's meaningful for them. For a mom who's constantly feels like she's yelling and irritable and really is not present with her kids, we could then say, hey, do you know it's because your brain is tired? And let's try to get that to change a bit. And you can become more present with your child. You don't feel like you're living in a fog. So finding what really connects with them, I think is the big step in the right direction.
So it sounds like you very much take an individualized approach with your patients in trying to get them to understand and appreciate the value of good sleep. This makes me backtrack and want to know, I understand that there aren't many pediatric sleep specialists around. What first made you decide to go into the field of pulmonology and then sleep medicine, and then also become a pediatric sleep medicine specialist?
Yeah, I think the pulmonology part, after doing my general pediatrics training, I realized I would prefer to specialize, not because there's anything, I love being a pediatrician, but I wanted to really almost like hyper focus and get really good at one domain. And I had very good mentorship and I loved physiology. And I decided to go with pulmonology and I enjoyed it. But over the course of years, while I was practicing as a pediatric pulmonologist, I started to see a real deficit when it came to things like sleep disorders, because people would come in and they're having breathing problems and they couldn't sleep at night and their parents didn't sleep at night. Oh, by the way, they have sleep apnea. Oh, by the way, they're really having a lot more colds and asthma. And it's really because their sleep is really broken. So that got me really interested in pursuing sleep medicine, but also my own story, because I had struggled with sleep for so long. I had struggled with sleep deprivation and insomnia, and I was completely burnt out. And so walking through all of that and getting to the end of it to see, oh my goodness, the one thing that I really know that made a big difference in my life was prioritizing my sleep. Then that also motivated me to pursue a sleep medicine fellowship.
I want to take a moment to give a huge shout out to Melissa Murphy-Pavone and her amazing team at Mindful Financial Partners. Melissa has over 18 years of experience as a certified financial planner and divorce financial analyst. And what truly sets her apart is how she values people over portfolios. Whether you're going through major life changes or just want to take control of your financial future, Melissa's approach is all about aligning your wealth with the life you truly want to live. She doesn't just focus on growing wealth, but also on creating balance and purpose in your financial journey. You can get in touch with her at her website, mindfulfinancialpartners.com, and you can find all the links in the description. Be sure to check it out.
And your current practice, do you focus more on pediatric sleep or do you do a mix of both adult and pediatrics?
With sleep medicine, it's one training. So I'm a pediatric and adult sleep specialist. I'm just one of the few that has that extra pediatric background. So that allows me to really have that expertise with pediatric sleep. And also I trained at an institution where they have a large pediatric training. And so that gave me the best of both worlds. And so now on the outside, I think I do a mix of both. I would say maybe 40% of my patients are adults and then 60% pediatrics. And I see what happens a lot of times is the parents bring their child in and we're talking about their child's sleep issues. And they're like, oh, I also have those symptoms. Oh, yeah, I'm also struggling. I wake up and I can't fall back asleep. Oh, yeah, I'm also snoring. I wonder if I have sleep apnea. And so it ended up being almost like a family practice where a child may have come in first. All of a sudden, the dad is my patient. All of a sudden, he's bringing his wife in. And so it becomes this whole, but it's beautiful because then it's really, I think that's the model I've always loved. So then we're able to now come up with, okay, we need almost like a family sleep plan here, right? What do we do to help you sleep better? What do we need to help your child sleep better? How do we support you on that journey?
That's great. I think obviously sleep challenges can exist within a family dynamic. And I see it all the time where I have patients who are married and then they tell me about what's happening with their kids and how it's affecting their sleep. And it just becomes like this whole thing and it can go on for a long time. And as you were mentioning earlier, it can impact so many different things like your hormones and your insulin levels, cortisol. It can put you at higher risk for diabetes and hypertension. So it's a real thing. And I'm really glad that there has been more of a focus in the past few years on the importance of sleep. I feel like when I was in training, it wasn't. I at least don't remember feeling that way, that this was a priority in terms of prevention. And now it is. And I feel like we're having more discussions about it.
Are you a woman with big financial dreams but no idea how to reach them? You'll love working with Dr. Annie Cole, a money coach who's on a mission to help women earn more, build wealth, and retire early. In her 20s, Annie was a burnt-out social worker, struggling on a $26,000 salary. By her 30s, she had climbed the ladder to a vice president role, invested over $350,000, owned $1 million in real estate, and cut 20 years off of her retirement date. She now runs her own coaching business, Money Essentials for Women, and inspires women to step into new levels of money mastery and confidence. Ready to see how Annie can help you? Set up a free financial consultation at www.money-essential.com/coaching. While you're exploring her services, grab a copy of her new book, 101 Ways to Build Wealth, at money-essentials.com/.
When I was reviewing your credentials and your website, which is a great website, by the way, you mentioned using more of a holistic approach, especially to improve children's sleep. As an internist, I really try to, for my adult patients, I don't see children, I really try to steer away from sleep medicines as much as possible. And I focus on sleep hygiene and what we can do. And it often involves many discussions. It doesn't happen over one appointment. What approach do you take with both your adult and your pediatric patients in terms of approaching sleep issues in a holistic kind of way?
Yeah. So I think I love that you said that. Medications have their role to play. They have their part. They're not all bad. But I think a lot of situations, we end up missing the boat because we are quick to start medications without really figuring out what the root cause of the issue is. And sleep is one big example. Many times, the reasons why people have a hard time sleeping is often related to something that is very treatable without patient. And so our approach then becomes, what is that treatable condition? What is that thing that is going on that gets in the way of the patient being able to sleep well? And so now we're looking more root cause, because when we look at root cause, you'll find out that, for instance, a lot of times a child who's not sleeping well, it may just all be behavioral issues. It may be related to anxiety, or it may be that they have some nutritional deficiencies that gets in their way of sleep, or it may be conditions like sleep apnea. And so all those things then become more of our focus, because the end result, so the symptom they may come in with is, oh, I'm having sleep struggles. And so when we address the root cause, rather than, oh, let's just fix the sleep struggles with X, then we're actually then giving them an opportunity for lasting solutions that don't have side effects, because a lot of the sleep medications have side effects. And this is both for children. In fact, for children, there's really no FDA-approved medication to help with sleep issues. But then it's so important because they're developing, their brains are growing. If we put them on medicine, how long are we going to put them on medicine for? And then adults too, right? Some of the sleep medications that are even available are strictly for short-term use. And I see adults come in and they've been on all kinds of medications for years, and they just keep getting refills and refills up until the point maybe they change their doctor, and their doctor is like, oh my goodness, I am not prescribing this anymore. Go see someone. And then when they come to see me, we then walk through a systematic way of getting them off the medicine and really leaning in on their own sleep.
As a primary care doctor, I can so relate. And I'll have patients and they'll be on it for years and years, and even things like X for sleep. And I said, this really should not be used for sleep. Oh, but Dr. Mandel, I've been using it for years. How many years? 15? Oh my God, 15 years. And Ambien, after Ambien script. So I, in the past few years, have really taken hold of these type of situations. And we have a great clinical pharmacology department where I work, and I get them to get on board and follow up with these patients and come up with a plan how to slowly taper them off these medications. and we try to get them into a sleep medicine doctor so that we can finally help them. It's a real problem, especially for as elderly patients who have a higher risk of fall and dementia and all sorts of other things. Yeah. The other group that I also see, as I mentioned earlier, are parents and who have young children, and that could be anyone, anywhere from infancy to God knows, I don't know. I feel like it goes on, and even into when their kids are teenagers, right? And I see how the poor sleep quality affects their general health. What things do you focus on that relates to medicine and maybe outside of medicine? Speaking. I see this placard behind you called Beyond Tired.
Yeah,
What is that? What is that about?
Okay, yes. So I do speak, and then I'm an author. I wrote a book. It's called Beyond Tired, a sleep physician's guide to solving your child's sleep problems for good. So that's been a lovely project to complete. And so it's a way of getting the word out around medicine, and specifically sleep medicine. And wrote that, and I get to talk about sleep health in schools, with organizations. And yeah, that's definitely sleep being the medical part of it. And then just educating and empowering people is one of my passions.
And where can your book has been published, Beyond Tired?
Yeah. And it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. And where can we find you in terms of your website and any social media handles?
Yeah. So my website is restfulsleepmd.com. So you can find all the information there. If you want to work with me, if you're in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or California and you want us to see you in our practice, we can see you at our practice. You can learn more about it there. And also on social media, I'm at Restful Sleep MD. And on LinkedIn, I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. And I also have a YouTube channel that's at Dr. Funke Brown.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really eye-opening and a great conversation that I've had with you.
Thank you so much for having me.